There are a ton of great games on the Nintendo Switch. I mean, that's why we love this console so much. From Super Mario Odyssey to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, from Splatoon all the way to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, from Luigi's Mansion 3 all the way to Xenoblade, there are a ton of amazing, incredible video games on this console, and that's why it's so weird to say that a port of a game from 2014 is the best Nintendo Switch game. That's right, out of every title on this console, I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best Nintendo Switch game. Now, that's not me saying it's the best video game on the console, but in terms of a game that fits the console so well, a game that ironically enough feels like it was designed for this console and this console was designed for it, I believe that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in that regard is the best Nintendo Switch game. So let's talk about that.
Mario Kart 8!
What's going on, guys? It's Thomas from the Switch Top, and you guessed it, we're talking today about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and how it's the best Switch game. And let's start with that. What do I mean when I say the best Switch game? Well, as I said in the intro, I don't necessarily mean the best video game. In fact, I think it's completely different. I'd say Breath of the Wild would probably take the best video game on the console award, and recently enough, I actually said that I don't even think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best port on the console. That would go to Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. But in terms of a Nintendo Switch game, a situation where the benefits of a video game intertwine perfectly with the perks of a console, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best Nintendo Switch game. And I'll go a step further and say I don't think there has ever been a video game slash console pairing that has been as symbiotic as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and the Nintendo Switch. I guess the only two possible competitors could be how the Wii Sports game was so critical to the Wii's success, and also I'd say the original Xbox with Xbox Live and internet capability and Halo. Those titles have a shot, but honestly, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is that game for the Nintendo Switch, and here's why. When introducing the Nintendo Switch to someone, which is something I've done numerous times now, there's always that oh wow moment that gets the point of the Switch across, the entire, ethos of this console we love so much. It gets that point across within like 0.2 seconds. And I'll give you a hint, it's not actually when you take the Switch out of the dock, or obviously put the Switch into the dock. No, by now, even people who don't own a Nintendo Switch and have never seen one in person probably understand that the console named the Switch actually switches. And even if, somehow they've never heard of this thing before, the idea of a console that you can play on the go and then connect to your TV is still very unique, but it's not like revolutionary. No, handheld mode and TV mode don't get the Nintendo Switch's point across. What actually does is tabletop mode. Tabletop mode, for those of you who somehow don't know, is when you have the Nintendo Switch, you kick out that kickstand, put it on a table, pass the Joy-Con or controllers to someone else, and then you use the Nintendo Switch display as a TV and generally have multiple people playing on that display. Now, this is by far the most uncomfortable way to play the Switch. The base Nintendo Switch's screen is so small that you don't really want to play, split screen on that screen, and a lot of times when you're playing in tabletop mode, you end up having to use split Joy-Con, which on my hands, it just hurts to use because they're so small. But regardless of tabletop mode's shortcomings, that's the aha moment most people have when they see the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, playing single player games on the TV, then taking your single player game out and about is cool, but playing multiplayer games on the TV, then being able to bring a multiplayer party machine wherever you go, that's something special. However, as I said, there are limitations to tabletop mode. Anything with a lot of text or small items you won't really be able to see, because especially if you're playing 4-person split screen, you get like a screen the size of a quarter. I mean, you're not seeing much with that. Additionally, you're probably going to be using a split Joy-Con, which means you can't really play like, any 3D shooters or anything like that. It's gotta have a very simple control scheme for this to work. And just judging by the nature of tabletop play, you're not gonna want an extended play session here. You're gonna want something pick up and go, something that you can, play for a couple minutes, then toss away, then, hop back on later and continue pick up right where you left off. Those three things describe Mario Kart as a franchise to a T. Mario Kart doesn't have much text. In fact, it doesn't have any text at all while you're playing. I swear, if you're going down to the comments to talk about this giant number, then you are missing the point entirely. I mean, I don't know what to say. So not only does the smaller screen not impact Mario Kart as much as it could, pretty much any other game, but the controller works too. true. Obviously, smaller controller will naturally be more uncomfortable, but if you think Mario Kart isn't the best possible game to use split Joy-Cons with, you are out of your mind. There is seriously not a single other big Nintendo game I would rather have to use split Joy-Con with than Mario Kart. You can turn on auto accelerate so you don't have to hold down the button the entire time. Hey, if your thumb gets tired, you don't even have to touch the analog stick. You can turn on tilt controls. And hey, chances are if you're playing Mario Kart in tabletop mode, you're probably going to be playing with someone who hasn't played too much kart before, so you could just pop them on smart steering and suddenly it doesn't even really matter if they're good or not because Nintendo's, magic AI will make sure they stay on track. Last but not least, Mario Kart is obviously the type of game that you can just pick up, put down, blah blah blah, and you don't need to spend much time on it at all. Not only does everyone pretty much already know how to play, and it's, super visual, so even if you don't, I mean, it's a race, like, you know that. But the fact that you don't have to, like, complete a Grand Prix or anything, you can just play a couple races and still have fun, means that it's perfect for those bite-sized play sessions that tabletop mode is kind of all about. On top of that, but the switch from TV mode to tabletop mode with Mario Kart in particular is just so visual. There's a reason they used it in the initial Switch reveal trailer when they're playing in the back of that car. Like, something about this image, it just, like, makes sense. I don't know if it's the fact that, when you turn the Joy-Con sideways, they strongly resemble Wii remotes, and Mario Kart Wii sold incredibly well too, so everyone kind of understands how that would work. I don't know if it's just the universal nature of Mario Kart, like, almost everyone who would be interested in buying a Switch anyway has already seen an image of Mario Kart, so you just kind of understand, like, inherently. Something about this, man, it just works. And there's a reason that, like, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it wasn't a launch title, but it came out a month after launch. They used it in a ton of promotional images for the Switch. It's the game bundled with the Switch for Black Friday. Like, there is a reason that this game is the best-selling game on Switch. It just, like, works on a level that no other game really does. It complements the Switch's gimmick so well. I guess the closest thing I can even think of would be Mario Party, but then, I mean, you can't, just play bite-sized sessions unless you're doing just mini-games. None of this would really matter if Mario Kart 8 Deluxe wasn't fun. And fortunately, this game's a blast. Not even counting the Booster Course Pass, you have 48 courses, which is the most by far in any Mario Kart game ever included in the base game. Not only that, but every single one of these courses is an absolute banger. Each one has its own music track, its own distinct style, its own gimmicks, its own theming. The game is actually balanced, unlike Mario Kart Wii, which, I mean, hey, some people like the unbalanced nature of it, but I just love being able to always kind of have something competitive going on with your friends. Because even in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, if you use the meta try-hard build of Waluigi, Wiggler, and the, roller tires, you can still get smoked by someone using, I don't know, like Koopa Troopa on an inside drift bike if they're good enough. The items in this game are super fun. The Boo is an awesome new addition. It allows you to shock dodge from like 5th place, which is, always sick when you can pull that off. The battle mode is extremely underrated. It's not perfect, but between Renegade Roundup and Shine Thief on top of the typical game modes, there is a lot here to enjoy. The online just seamlessly works in the sense that, like, you can just hop in, play some online races. You're not really going to get any errors unless it's on your end. That's not something I can say about pretty much any other Mario Kart or Nintendo game ever. It's got the biggest roster of characters in any game, even if it's, missing some glaring omissions. And that's all before you get into the Booster Pass, which for $25 extra, you get double the amount of courses. Are you kidding me? Graphically, some people argue that they're not on the same level, and I would agree for Wave 1 and a couple of the courses in Wave 2, but from what we've seen of Wave 3, the courses are just getting better and better. You don't even really notice the graphics when you're going pretty fast, and I'm sorry, but the courses in the Booster Pass, in my opinion, are just, like, fun. They are very fun to race on, and in fact, I don't know if this is intentional or not, but they have, like, more shortcuts than the main courses do, or more, like, I guess, unintentional quote-unquote shortcuts. Like, you got the gap jump on Snowland and Mushroom Gorge. There's some weird floating shenanigans you can do in Sky High Sunday as well. Like, there's a lot of fun stuff to do here, and anyone who says this isn't, like, a good value of a purchase is straight up wrong. I'm sorry. Like, you're doubling the amount of tracks. You're gonna get 96 tracks for the $60 of the game and $25. That's, what? 96 Mario Kart tracks? So yeah, the game itself is incredible. It just works on Switch, and those factors combined, in my opinion, make it the best Switch game. Again, from a purely game design perspective, or from a purely, I would give this game Game of the Year perspective, I don't think it's the best game. Again, I think that goes to Breath of the Wild, but Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is by far the game responsible for the Switch's success the most, the game most people think of when they think of the Nintendo Switch, and just the best Switch game. I feel like it's so odd, even though this game came out, 4 years before the Switch, 3 years technically, especially, it feels like they were designed in tandem. It feels like one couldn't have been made without the other because they just are interconnected and symbiotic in such an interesting way that you really don't see much within the video game space. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe being the best Nintendo Switch game, and if you agree with this, let me know down in the comments below, and if you don't, I'd also let me know down there. Speaking of Mario Kart, we got another kart video on the screen right now. Click it and subscribe if you're new.